Okay, I'm just going to finish off the astral doodle. I'll be with you in a moment, if that's okay. Let's have a look. Give me a second here. Let's have a look. Okay. Greetings, everyone. Hello. Let's see. Hello, Ivona. Hello, Heather. It's very clear that the notifications do not go out anymore for the channel, which makes me kind of sad. But that's just how it is. Things are the way they are. Let's keep going anyway. So I just made this astrodoodle for today. And Ivona, I noticed you wrote something on the screen. To me, it's... I don't know if it's a little disturbing. It doesn't surprise me, but it sounds like what you're talking about is that there is a so-called press conference, and it's looking like more like a Save America rally. Okay, that understands. And also, you've probably noticed, like Ivona has made a note there that it's the only way you can learn or find out about this stuff is when you go to NTD channel, which is basically a China-focused channel from the United States to try and understand what's happening on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, where we are heavily threatened. So it's very weird, Ivona. I want to affirm with you that sometimes the only way I can get decent, honest, reliable news about what's happening in the United States is to go to kind of very far away resources that are not inside the United States, and they provide a much more authentic view, and they don't block the views. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to note something interesting. This was the astrodoodle for yesterday. And again, what it really emphasized, as far as I'm concerned, is a huge amount of pressure on the Gemini North Node for the whole of planet Earth and for wherever this lies in your chart. As you know, it could where. All right. So, things move on. The stressors have moved slightly away today. But right now, yesterday, the way I felt this and I interpreted this is that there is a... thank you, Heather. Yes, Sky News. I also checked the Australian channel. I checked the NTD China Focus channel. I don't trust the other channels, like all the major American mass media. It's absolute BS. So, can't trust it anymore. There's no point ever even looking. Hello, Debs. See you. So what this showed to me here, the way I interpreted this, is intense focus that we cannot avoid. In other words, it's impossible to avoid the awareness of the massive degree of fraud that is occurring across the world, especially in the United States, most especially to do with how we, the people, are being, let's say, I would say, manipulated, defrauded by certain, what I would call, I guess you could call them elitists or something. I have to be so careful now with language on the channel because I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep going here. A bunch of other channels that I like have already been deleted, eliminated, demonetized, crushed in such a way that it's very hard to operate anymore. It seems very random. Hello, Maxine. Good evening. Where are you, Maxine? Are you in Europe? If you're saying good evening, it sounds like you must be in Europe. Anyway, this is what they call a finger of God. This is a yod. It's combined from one quincunx and another quincunx that happen to align like this. And this is a very uncomfortable, unavoidable type of energy that forces you. It's like somebody grabs your head, opens your eyeballs, and forces you to look at what is in front of you. And what is directly in front of us, people? Fraud. It's just massive fraud, miscommunication, abuse of the world's communication systems for the purposes of profiteering for the owners of the global media. Okay, that's what's happening. Okay, those are facts. You can dispute that with me if you want. I'd like to think of it as an opinion, of course, but I also think of it as a fact. I think of it as an indisputable fact that there is massive fraud and fakery going on in the world of global communications, especially in the United States. The United States is in deep, deep trouble, people. So here we are today. It's very interesting. Just as the planets move on, the moon is now here in Cancer. We still have a strong emphasis on the North Node, but there was another yod that's coming over here. Isn't that quirky? And it's just focusing exactly on the other side onto the South Node of Sagittarius energy. And there's this unmistakable pressure for all of us to open our eyes. We're being forced to face forward and look into what's going on here. In other words, the way I interpret this, because this is South Node energy, it's the idea of wisdom, knowledge, courage, law, health, healthcare, adventure, exploring new horizons, expanding our knowledge and awareness and wisdom. And the way I see it, since it's so deeply related with the fraud that was brought to our attention yesterday. Can you see the difference here? These charts are almost identical except for the fact that the moon is moved to Cancer, okay? And we have a new yod exposed here. Yesterday we had it here, today we have it here. So it's really, the way I see it, is totally unavoidable. The Sagittarius-Gemini axis here, the Sagittarius-Gemini axis here. We just came out of a full moon eclipse a couple days ago. You can't avoid this. In terms of tarot illumination and the astrodoodles, this is staring us in the face. And basically, God help you if you can't see this happening in your world around you. If you're not aware of the fraud and the abuse of knowledge and wisdom and information that's being brought to the people in the form of what's being called the media, it's really important to wake up, because we are literally being defrauded on a mass global scale. And some people are trying to call it out. Some people are trying to perpetrate it. Why would anyone want to perpetrate such a massive global fraud as perpetrated by the names that I'm very scared to say now? But Mr. Google and FACE, the book person, and the TWY people, and all the mass media in America. Why would they want to do that? They're doing it simply because they can, and it's to their advantage to do so. It's a massive consolidation of power and mind control, propaganda, manipulation, just like they were used before World War II, and just like they do in communist countries. It's complete totalitarian control and manipulation of communication information. So it's happening live right now. Thank you, Maxine. Correct. It's a massive global fraud. So what is true? What is not true? What is fake? What is real? You have to figure it out for yourself. I already have my own opinions. I already have my own feelings. about what is fake and what is real. And I'm not the only one who feels the way I feel. I just needed to point this out. Let me keep going over here. I'm going to put this one off to the side because, this too shall change. Today I just wanted to bring up a few important subjects because we are heading for huge changes coming up soon. First of all, let me say hello. Hello everyone, this is Lumination, just checking hi. This is what today I called like I did last week, Midweek Musings, and I'm focusing on the energy of Aquarius. Okay? So, let's have a look. I just want to check something, of course, again. Hold on. Okay, I got a few more folks just showed up. Good, thank you very much for being here. So, let me just go to my notes and we'll just run through some key themes, concepts, understandings, perspectives, opinions about the ingredients that I'm going to extract. Okay? I'll show you. Okay, so here we are. Today, it's Wednesday, 2nd of December, 2020. And as you can tell, as you can probably feel, we've lived through a tumultuous, monumental year, catastrophic for tens of millions of people, in fact, hundreds of millions of people, if you account for the developing countries. Economies, whole countries being crushed by the fraud that's being perpetrated primarily here in China and in America. Is anybody taking blame or accountability? I don't see it, no. It's just happening because it can, okay? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what's happening in the United States, that's what's happened in China. And everything is threatened right now. I'm focusing on the Aquarius theme because this is going to become very big and very loud over the next year or two and eventually into 2024. We can't avoid dealing with these concepts and energies. So let me just put out a bunch of keywords, okay? When you think of Aquarius energy, you think of the planet Uranus. The planet Uranus is a massive, massive gas giant way, way, way out in the solar system. It's enormous. It has a lot of moons, and it is attributed with these kind of characteristics. And Uranus was only discovered in the last, 100 or 200 years in terms of visibility, but it was already understood and, let's say, factored into astrologers' understanding. They just couldn't find the planet, but they knew it was there because of these characteristic themes that repeated very, very consistently over hundreds and thousands of years. Here are some of the keywords. Freedom, equality, fairness, we the people, community, sharing, decentralization of power, technology, science, revolution, shake-ups, radicalism, uniqueism, surprise miracles, I would say shake-ups of the status quo. Especially anything, the more rigid something might be, the more Uranus will try to shake it up. Okay? Uranus they call it the Great Awakener. Uranus is basically, let me do a little bit of acting here. I might as well make use of like 24 years in Hollywood. So Uranus is the Great Awakener. Uranus is the Great Awakener. It's the big shake-up. It's like somebody, let's say you're having a sweet, comfortable life and everything is just sort of okay, you had a good night's sleep. And then somebody busts into your bedroom and grabs you by the shoulders and says, "Hey, wake up! Wake up, man! Wake up, lady! This is a brand new day, and I have to tell you there's a whole bunch of new stuff going on." And you're kind of like, what? And it's all new. It's all radical. It's surprising. It's shocking. It's revolutionary. It's destabilizing. And it's ultimately for our good. The big shakeup, the big awakener is trying to help us evolve, grow, adapt, change so that we can prosper. So if we stagnate, if we become fossilized, if we become like putrid, rotten, lazy, complacent, too comfortable, too self-assured, too established in what we think of as status quo, Uranus will come along and bust it all up, okay? Not as much as Pluto, but Uranus is definitely going to shake things up, and that's what's happening right now. It's already been happening in 2020 because of all the alignments between, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto over there in Capricorn. We've seen the huge, monumental disruptions and shakeups in global finance, global politics, global economics, devastating for hundreds of millions of people and very profitable for a very, very tiny number of people. And they want to keep it that way. In fact, they want to make it that way even more than before. They are looking for absolute totalitarianism. They want complete, utter command and control of your life, like China on steroids, okay? That's what they're trying to do here in America. They're trying to take the China model, which is already very successful in their own way. China has a complete chokehold on its people. And the American oligarchs are trying to do the same thing here because it really works if you're one of the people at the top. And, power is extremely seductive, extremely addictive, and it's almost irresistible, especially if you're power hungry and you're willing to sell out your soul, sell out your country, sell out your principles, sell out your neighbors, your family, your children, in order for you personally to prosper and have glory and light and money and power. It's all a freaking illusion. But people believe it. And that's happened in America right now. In America, the way I see it, America has been completely and utterly infected by this massive illusion, this massive fraud, which is being perpetrated, frankly, across the world. It's not just America and China. It's going everywhere. It's like a huge metastatic cancerous tumor that has grown and grown and grown to the point where you cannot avoid seeing it, okay? And so, that's what's happening in 2020. Of course, a lot of people don't like that. Like me, I'm not interested in living that way. I want to live a healthy life. I want to be cancer-free. I happen to be a cancer survivor. I had a stage 4 metastatic cancer from everywhere from the middle of my lungs down to my upper thighs. It was everywhere. But I'm still here to tell the tale. It's gone now. There's no trace because I'm into the art of self-healing, and I got very lucky too with certain high-powered yogis and doctors. So it's a lot about the will to live. If you don't have a lot of will to live, it's much more likely that you will succumb to the pressures to comply with the New World Order. I'm just going to say it, New World Order, okay? Because that's what they're trying to do. They are trying to export and impose not a beautiful, well-constructed, healthy, functional, socialist type of structure. We're talking about hardcore freaking communism, okay? It's going global, and the globalists are trying to push it. They're going to package it into some kind of utopian agenda that works for everybody. This technological revolution that's designed to help you be happy. And they're pushing extremely hard, and they're doing it because they can, because they want to, because it's very rewarding and profitable for them, okay? At the expense of you. We all know this. We've talked about this over and over already. It's all over the alternative news. You can't avoid it. The only way you can avoid it is by focusing on the American mass media and making a decision to believe all their BS and their complete denial. There's some monumental things happening in this country right now, radical upheavals. And when you look at just glimpse at the news feeds, it's like it's not there. It's like they're focusing on what's Harry and Meghan doing? What's happening? How does this superstar sports person manage without all the attention and the lights and the big arenas? What are we going to do with the new food franchises? How are you coping with your latest disease? It's just bizarre, and I don't understand. Well, I do understand. It's just the fraud. It's the massive cover-up. It's an insane, massive fake news cover-up to try and basically keep the people blind, okay? Keep the sheeple blind. Anyway, let me go back to my notes again. Hello, Nikki. Hello. Oh, Maxine, you're over in England. Jolly old England. Oh, yes. I used to live in London, Oxford, Bristol, Norwich, Winchester, and Bath. It's cold in England most of the time. Okay, let me go back to my notes. So, we are heading into a very powerful Aquarius theme starting in 2021, okay? Well, it's at the very end of 2020, but it really kicks off in 2021. The energies of Aquarius that I mentioned here are going to become very important keywords for everybody across the world, okay? The way it's going to be, let's say, ushered in is through the movement of the planets. Let me go back to this doodle over here. We've talked about this before. Here we are, 2nd of December 2020 for planet Earth. This is the astrodoodle for the day. Jupiter and Saturn are very, very tight together right near the 29 degree mark. Okay, this is the anaretic degree. This is the critical degree where it's like the last gasp of trying to do what has to be done in any way that is healthy for the energies of these planets. Pluto is over here, I think in 23, 24 degrees. But Jupiter and Saturn are preparing right now to enter Aquarius for 2021. Right at the beginning, we're literally weeks away, people. Weeks away from the mass conjunction. In a matter of days, we are going to have a very historic conjunction, exact conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter in the heavens. And it's basically close to Pluto as well, but you can't see Pluto. Anyway, this is an historic moment, and it's going to usher in radical changes as we shift into this energy. It's the end of the Capricorn energy for Saturn and Jupiter, and we're going to switch into the Aquarius energy. So it's very different what we're talking about here. Let's go back to basics. Let's look at Jupiter. Look at some keywords. Look at the energy of Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. This massive, it's also a massive gas giant in the sky. It has a lot of moons. Jupiter expands. Jupiter is the great optimist. Jupiter is all about healing. It's like the great benefic, the great healer. It's about law and philosophy and higher learning. It's about growth, expansion. It's about good fortune. It's about higher consciousness, and it's about adventure. It's a lot of Jupiter is always, it's been associated with these themes since the beginnings of the understanding of heavens and astrology. They always noticed that Jupiter triggered these types of generally positive energies. The thing about Jupiter energy, it doesn't know when to stop. It's just continually interested in expanding more and more and more, bigger, 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 better, 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 more fun, more happiness, more everything, more good fortune, more good luck, more adventure, and it doesn't know when to stop. Now, hello, be you. Hello, be you. Hello, beautiful beings. Okay. And over here, we have Saturn. Saturn is almost completely the opposite energy of Jupiter. Saturn is the great teacher. Saturn tests us. It manages. It restricts. It punishes if we're out of alignment. It rewards after we have done our homework. It requires patience. It demands work. It demands responsibility. It demands structure. It demands order. It teaches things the hard way. We see this in the physical world as a very earthly things called like destiny and career. So if Saturn is very dysfunctional in your chart, in your life, chances are you might feel very poorly destined and very poorly with regards to career and karma and all of that. Okay, like like in other words, you know what they call the visible planets, visible bodies like Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Saturn was always regarded as the one where you really need to be careful. Okay, if you step out of line according to Saturn energy, then you will regret it. You'll feel it very personally in your life. That's why when they have this thing called the Saturn return, which has about a 29.5-year cycle. I'll just put that over here. And Jupiter has about a 12-year cycle. You as a person will be very aware of the dark side of Saturn if you have basically lived out of alignment with the demands of Saturn. So when you reach the age of 29.5, it's very common for people to have a very, very depressing kind of awakening, realization in their life where they realize, wow, I've really screwed up. And then you start another Saturn cycle and try again, learn some more. The Jupiter cycle is very different. Anyway, it just happens that Jupiter is lining up directly with Saturn. So we put these two energies together, okay? Now, put these energies through the filters of the Aquarius theme, okay? Remember, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So we have some kind of very interesting alignments here, okay? So, you're probably going to see it either in your personal life or your finances or your health or on the news or in your community. Like in the United States, for example, we've been talking about this for a year now on this channel. So, like for 2020, Saturn was testing America in terms of career, responsibility, destiny, structure, and all of that in Capricorn, okay? Capricorn is a very important aspect in American astrology. The great destroyer. It's the foundation. It's all about business, oligarchs, management, structure, corporate control, and all of that stuff. And it's been heavily, heavily tested. Okay, so you can see it in America, how there's big chunks of America that are falling apart. Saturn also represents the leadership of, corporate leaders. It's been heavily tested. Jupiter in Capricorn as well. Jupiter is not very happy in Capricorn. It's basically like, Jupiter's like, damn it, you're telling me I have to slow down. I have to, restrain myself. I have to be more responsible. I have to, get in line. So it's been very, very challenging over 2020, especially for America. The United States of America, heavily, heavily pressured by this alignment and this alignment in Capricorn. So this is all changing right now. And interestingly enough, in the United States of America astrology, the energy of Aquarius is extremely prominent. Okay, America's born with an Aquarius moon, and and also, where is it? That Leo, right? Anyway, it's got the Aquarius moon there. It has its north node, of course, in Leo. That's right. It has has the south node in Aquarius, and the north node in Leo. I'm just making a note here for America, okay? So, I'm already feeling the pressure, but we're really going to see it right in our faces starting 2021. The Aquarius energy is going to light up, okay? And it's going to be powered by Jupiter and Saturn, because both Jupiter and Saturn are moving into Aquarius, okay? So, let's just say, look at it this way. Now, let's put all the pieces together here. Let's put Jupiter into Aquarius. Think of all these energies here, these keywords filtered through the Aquarius energy, or else think of the Aquarius energy as signified by Uranus and filter it through the Jupiter lens. Either way, okay, there's going to be a huge emphasis on 2021 about scientific revolution, huge shakeups in technology, the decentralization of corporate, financial, and banking power, the sharing economy, the idea of community, the idea of we the people, the concepts of personal freedom, equality, and fairness are going to expand dramatically. Jupiter is actually quite happy in Aquarius. It's like, wow, this is fun. This is exciting. This is radical. This is unique. And it's going to expand, okay? It's going to almost be like too much too quickly. It's really going to shake things up across the world in those subjects that I mentioned. In America, we will feel it in terms of our politics and the foundations of our life here. If you think back to 1776 and the South Node in Aquarius at that time in the birth chart of the United States, we are being shaken to the very, very core of our identity as Americans, as a nation, as a country, as a people, as a concept, as a belief system. All of that is becoming, going under a huge spotlight of Jupiter energy, okay? Hello, Nanita. Hello, Path. You won't be able to stop this. You can't avoid this happening, okay? So the energy of the South Node in Aquarius is really going to be amplified, okay? So in other words, America is going to be looking at itself in radical new ways that you can't avoid seeing it on a global scale of mass media, politics, economics, banking, science. The most obvious things that I'm sensing are in the banking community, where we're looking at these highly radical and destabilizing forms of technology that are shaking up the global financial system, especially in the United States, China, and Europe. Now, let's go to Saturn. Saturn is simultaneously moving into Aquarius. They're going to be conjunct, okay? Now, Saturn in Aquarius is actually quite effective, okay? It's like it distills things into reality about all these amazing Aquarian themes, okay? It's going to test everything that's good about the Aquarius energies represented by Uranus are going to be tested and restricted by the Saturn energy. The Saturn energy will test the Aquarius energy of the American South Node. America is going to be under intense pressure to basically start giving birth to itself. The labor pains that I talked about that are happening in 2020, they're going to increase in 2021. Okay? Think of it as labor pain as America gives birth to its new self in 2024. It's going to be a very long labor pain. Okay? So Saturn is going to test the Aquarius energy. How free are we? How much equality do we have? How fair is everything really? How genuine is our community? How solid is our Constitution in America? How authentic is our Declaration of Independence? How caring and sharing are we? How egalitarian are we being in the decentralization of power? How are we advancing our technology in ways that work for we the people? What are we doing with our science, our revolutions, our shaking up of the infrastructure in America that works for we the people? What kind of radical, unpredictable, highly unique, shocking, surprising miracles are going to happen at this time that's going to shake up America? It's all going to be happening, okay? We can't avoid it. Now, guess what? The energy fields become even more radicalized because Uranus itself, the planet that's associated with the Aquarian energy, is all about this. Okay, I'll pull up some keywords about Uranus energy. How about this one? shaking up the unshakable. Okay? I told you before in that little chat I had about it. Uranus is here to wake us up, to prepare us for the bigger energies of Neptune and Pluto, which take us even farther into our evolutionary consciousness. Uranus is the person banging on the door saying, get up, people, wake up, because we have a whole lot more to learn and evolve and advance and change and adapt in order to thrive and survive. We haven't even started yet. Humanity is due for a radical shakeup because we are living in some very ancient, archaic, obsolete, redundant, what I call belief systems that cannot survive. They have to be crushed, destroyed, shaken up. So when you put Uranus in Taurus, Taurus is the least shake-upable energy there is, okay? And it's especially to do with money, finance, banking, the environment, earth, nature, the land, the animals in our farms, our climate. It's all being revolutionized right now. Some of you have probably seen things about like all this like genetically modified food, and that our whole food industry is being radically shaken up because the great powers that be are starting to realize that we cannot feed the planet. We just can't do it anymore, so we're going to take control. And of course, Saturn isn't so keen on that, okay? So have a look at this. You put Saturn in Aquarius. You put Jupiter in Aquarius. Heavy duty pressure with the Aquarian energies, especially for the United States and especially for China, okay? China has an Aquarius rising. So everything's going to become very polarized. The way this is going to come out is like a massive Shakespearean play where we're going to see these two opposing parties, essentially China and America, trying to battle off with each other to try and impose their doctrines and their belief systems. In America, the way I see it, we are trying to protect and defend our belief systems from this massive cancerous tumor coming from the communist Chinese party that's trying to control and own and operate the whole world. That's the Pluto energy. We're not talking about that today. So here's the thing, like the Aquarius energy, if you look at traditional Western astrology, is hard squared to Taurus. Aquarius and Taurus are squared against each other. That's pressure, that's challenge, okay? And the way I see it is revolution. Next, okay, so how can I show you that over here? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, here's today's chart. And in a few weeks, Saturn and Jupiter are going to be right here. Right, the 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees mark for Aquarius. It's going to be for a whole year, give or take a couple of retrogrades around the middle. So Jupiter and Saturn right here, and at some point, you'll probably notice, especially with Jupiter, that there is going to be a hard square between Jupiter in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. Okay, that's very, very uncomfortable, shocking, scary, awakening. It's very much revolutionary energy. Saturn's going to follow up with that over the 2.5-year period when Saturn in Aquarius hard squares with Uranus in Aquarius over here. That's going to be more revolutionary shakeups in the status quo, especially regarding banking, money, finance, wealth, gold, stock markets, money, basically money. And so we're already starting to see that in the world development of cryptocurrencies, because as some of you know, we hang out together sometimes, these cryptocurrencies, things like Bitcoin, is an attempt to protect ourselves from all the fake money that's happening in the American banking system right now, which has infected the whole world. America has perpetrated a massive cancerous tumor across the world, a metastatic tumor just as evil as the Chinese Communist Party. But we did it through the banking system and the United States dollar. So, there's the glories of America and the shame of America. There's the glory of China, there's the shame of China. And it's all happening simultaneously. And the rest of the world has to put up with the side effects. Anyway, starting in 2021, we're going to feel this radical shakeup all about Aquarius energy. And it's going to increase the pressure of instability with Uranus and Taurus. Radical revolutionary shakeups. We won't be able to avoid it. And by that time, early next year, guess what also is going to happen? Mars is going to be shifting into Taurus. So at some point, Mars is going to conjoin Taurus somewhere around here. So that, to me, is going to be hard squared to here. And the way I see it is violent, radical, revolutionary energies looking for a way to express themselves. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see I don't know how it's going to happen because, hold on. I don't know how, I can't prove anything that I'm saying. I'm just an amateur astrologer with some opinions after, learning and studying this stuff for decades. The more you learn to realize, the less you know. So it's a bit daunting, but I'm just sharing my opinions. The wondrous, beautiful side of all this Aquarian energy that's going to start becoming more and more prominent is that it's going to shake everything up. It's going to radicalize, shake everything up. It's going to awaken humanity. From the very, very top of humanity, all the globalists, the communists, the totalitarianists, the oligarchs, the corporatocracy, the IMF, the WEF, the BIS, the Fed, and all the central banks and all the infected governance, they're going to be shaken up, okay? And that shake-up is going to ripple all the way through down to people, hundreds, roughly 2 billion people across Earth who have essentially almost nothing. I'm a white Caucasian American and I have certain characteristics that go with it. Other people who are not like me would say, wow, you're really freaking lucky. You're very privileged. You got this, this, and this. And I do feel that. I have shelter, okay? I have hot and cold running water indoors. I have indoor sanitation. I have lots of food storage. I have freedom, space, and move. Transportation. I have communication devices, even though these are the tracking devices that are going to be implemented. So in many ways, I'm very, very fortunate. I have access to a lot of resources. But when you go to some of the developing countries, for example, you're looking at, generations of families, their day job is to go scrabbling around in landfills digging for used food. And they're here. Like in China, for example, there's about 600 million people who basically have nothing. They're just literally scrabbling through the dirt and their highly desecrated farms and environment just to stay alive. Because they have 1.4 billion people over there and they can't feed them. Okay? It's hard enough to feed 800 million people who live in the cities and have what looks sort of like a westernized life. But there's another 600 million people that have almost nothing. So China is in deep trouble. America is in a different type of trouble. The whole world is going to be shaken up. I think a lot of it is going to do with these really profound awakenings where it's just like, holy jeez, there's too many people. What are we going to do? So the globalists take over and they tell you, we've got this. Don't you worry about it. All you have to do is what we tell you. When we want your opinion, we'll tell you what it is. And if you have an opinion that doesn't match what we believe it should be, then you will be disappeared and you will be discounted and dehumanized. So don't worry about it. We got this. Hello, Nanita. Let me go back over here. Give me a second. So what I'm trying to do right now is give people a little bit of a heads up. All this stuff I mentioned here is coming at us in a few weeks. Between now and 2021, okay, we've got, what, basically 4 weeks. We're going to go through the Sagittarius new moon eclipse, which will be over here. That will be a jolly time. That will be aspecting the global south node in Sagittarius. And I think it will give people a big kind of lift in some ways, like a jolly sense of optimism, but you have to be very careful because it's under a lot of pressure because this thing is still here, this energy of fraud. So there's going to be a bit of a, you have to be very, very careful because with new moons, things tend to sort of go, and there's this like deadly sort of sense in hush and silence when we get to the energy of the expansion that happens with the new moon as it opens up. So this energy, so when you put it into an eclipse, okay, it's amplified. So you get Sagittarius new moon eclipse. But the thing is, we're not going to be prepared for it too much, so you got to be very, very cautious, very, very careful around the middle of December. I have a little post-it note somewhere. Where is it? There's a radically important conjunction also around the 14th of December, okay? It's going to be this Capricorn. It's going to be a very intense period in time around December 14th, so I'm kind of giving you a heads up, okay? So this thing over here that I've been talking about, this is where we are heading. I'm trying to do my best to try and link everything together so you can see that it's all about, kind of sacred geometry. The Aquarius theme is what is going to be the most obvious, prominent types of keywords. These are the ones I mentioned before. But how are we going to feel them? How are they going to be expressed? Well, through Jupiter, the lens of Jupiter, it's going to be this expansion, this sense of almost things are just going to be amazing for everybody, okay? I think the globalists will try and tap into this energy and try to promote their agenda, like, don't worry, everybody, we've got you covered. Everything's going to be fantastic. We're taking over everything. Things like freedom, equality, fairness, your constitution about we the people, community sharing, decentralization of power, radical new technologies in your favor. That's just something, you need to just ignore that because we're taking all of this for our advantage, and you the people are going to understand that we've got this figured out for you. So you don't have to worry about freedom or equality or fairness anymore because we, the communist takeover people, are going to manage all this stuff for you. So don't worry. It's the same, another version of the story here. The Saturn energy is going to, it's almost like force the agenda. The way I see it is that like there's two sides to each energy here. On the healthy expression of these energies, we've got some amazing new opportunities, new lessons to be learned starting in 2021. The thing is, these new opportunities and new lessons are radically different from the status quo. Okay, the status quo. And Uranus, it happens, is shaking up the status quo. So what I see in 2021 is radical instability, radical upheaval, radical revolution. And when you add in Mars in Taurus here next year, that's not much fun. That's going to face off with the Jupiter-Saturn thing over here. So I'm kind of telling the same story again. So Personally, what I'm doing is I'm trying to prepare myself to find like a safe haven, a safety zone. How can I protect my privacy? You see, the things that I like, personally, in my opinion, there's a lot of things going on that I don't like. I don't like the globalists. I don't like the idea of one world order. I don't like the idea of Klaus telling me what to do and how to do it and dictating to me how and when and why I should be happy. What I like my own identity. I like my freedom. I like my equality. I like my fairness. I like living under the thing that we have in America that's built around we the people, as opposed to the rule of rulers. We have rule of law, where we hold our leaders accountable to us the people. I like that. That is under the demolition ball right now as far as the globalists are concerned. The only thing stopping the globalist communist regime agenda from taking over the whole world is about 120 million people in the United States. So that's a tiny fraction of the global population is trying to survive and get through this so that we can enjoy the positive aspects of this Aquarian energy. This is really, really good for humanity if it's done right, okay? But there are people who don't want that to happen, okay? I'm scared of them. I'm very, very scared of them. But they don't own me, and they never will. I will never buckle to them. I might take advantage of them if they're handing out free stuff, but I'm not going to buckle to them. So basically prepare yourself for a lot of upheaval, a lot of contention, I would say revolution, including violent revolution. By the way, another thing is, again, I've noticed this in the bits of media that whenever I get a chance to check in with the media sources that I actually trust, what I'm noticing is that there's radical stuff happening across the earth in terms of revolutionary energy that is saying no. It's saying you to the CCP and the globalists and the communist regime. They are saying no, no, no. We actually want our freedom. So the problem is that the mass media, which is all aligned with the globalist agenda, they're not broadcasting all the upheavals. And so we're getting this highly sanitized, diluted form of media that's coming out, more or less like distraction. Just look over there, people. Don't dare look at the truth. You're not allowed to look at the truth, okay? So, okay, hold on. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm jumping the gun a bit here, but there's certain things that you might be interested in. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about the American election. We've got a few more days before, 2021. Actually, what I was trying to hint at in the last 5 minutes of my ranting is that this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is extremely tight right now in Capricorn. It's going to eventually cross the anaretic degree, 29 degrees, where things kind of get maxed out. It's like the energy of desperation as each planet tries to finalize and wrap up the best of its abilities before it shifts into the new sign of Aquarius. So I see things basically like a huge pressure cooker building up where the mass media is trying to suppress it and bury it, basically the fraud. The most obvious example of fraud that I see is the United States Federal Reserve and how they manipulate the global economy and financial system and banking system. And on top of that, the massive fraud that is being perpetrated in our general elections for presidency. And of course, all of that is in denial. I personally believe that there is a massive, massive fraud campaign that was perpetrated, and there's a lot of people who are basically complicit. But none of that is being, let's say, reported or accounted for in the mass media, possibly for whatever reasons. Maybe it's just too dark, too scary, so they're just basically pretending it's not there. In the meantime, we are being fed this storyline that everything's going to be great. We've got a new regime coming in, and we're going to take care and control everything for you. It's basically opening the doorway to Chinerica. That's what's happening as far as the mass media is concerned. And they're not going to apologize for that because that's what they want. Okay? I'm not interested. And there's at least 100 million people in America who feel like myself. We're not interested. And so myself and a few others, we're starting to look for ways how we can protect ourselves, defend ourselves, try to reclaim some of our privacy, our freedoms, our rights to free speech, a rule of law, our rights to protect and defend ourselves, our rights to due process, our rights to privacy, our right to silence. All of those things are under intense pressure from the other folks to basically crush it and remove it. They're trying to turn the United States into Chinerica, where you are being tracked on your phone or through a virally injected chip, where you have no life, you have no privacy. You are basically a debt cow or a debt slave, or on a slave camp or a debt camp, whatever, on the debt farm, whatever it is. That's what they're trying to do. They're basically, the globalists are trying, basically what they're trying to do is factory farming of human beings for their benefit. That's it. And so I think they were hoping, the way I see it is that I think I'm one of those people who believe the whole virus thing was planned, like a plandemic, like a scamdemic, and it was designed to degrade humanity, terrify humanity, force humanity into a massive global health crisis so that they would submit very, very easily to the globalist agenda. But it's not happening very well because there's enough people who are saying, you know what, I don't believe this. I don't dig this. I'm not going to play that game. And it's going to amplify, that revolutionary energy is going to amplify in 2021, no matter who ends up in the presidency in the United States. But the way I see it, okay, there is a huge emphasis on the Leo-Aquarius axis, okay? We know what that means, okay? We know what we're talking about there. And also, we're still dealing with the Gemini-Sagittarius axis. And again, you know what we're dealing with there. So, sacred geometry tells me a story. I can't predict the exact future, but I know we're looking at very, very combustible situations right now. One of the obvious ones, of course, is the inevitable implosion of the United States stock market. So where does that leave us? You know, there are people who are trying to prop it up and keep the game going, modern money theorists and all of that stuff. And eventually reality kicks in. You can't help it. But the people who are perpetrating the fraud, the people at the very top, they've done such a good job already, and it's only now here, like about 120 years later, since 1913, that the world is starting to wake up and realize, my God, we've been defrauded for the last 100 years. What about my children? What about my grandchildren? Oh, what's going to happen to them? What happens if we, the people, say enough is enough? We want a great reset. We want a great global reset, but in a way that's honest, genuine, and true, and in compliance and in alignment with the healthy aspects of Aquarian energy, healthy aspects of Jupiter energy, Saturn energy, Uranian energy. All of that is possible, but you have to make conscious, deliberate choices to wake up and see the truth of what is around you and make a decision. You make a decision. Do you want to live in truth or do you want to live in fraud? That's it. It's your choice. What side are you on? To me, it's very black and white. The Pluto energy is very, very strong right now. It's very extreme. It distills everything into black, white, yes, no, Republican, Democrat, poor, rich. but it makes it very extreme with very little middle ground. So we're dealing with that right now. It's time for you guys to wake up, for everybody to wake up and make a decision. Which side do you want to be on? Okay, I've said what I had to say. I've spoken out my notes. I'm going to hang out for a few moments on the chat. Just say hi to everybody. Thanks for visiting, folks. I'm going to try and keep the channel going as long as I can. I'm trying to figure out new ways how to communicate where I feel safer, but it's very, very hard to do. There's a couple of channels that were basically destroyed by YouTube, and they moved over to another platform called BitChute. And then BitChute destroyed those channels because BitChute has to outsource its server services to people who are essentially globalists. So there's basically nowhere to hide. Where can we go? There are ways that, let's say, we could privatize everything that we're doing right now. For example, I could make videos in private by invitation only meetings done through my website and through my email list and stuff. But we're talking about a radical reduction in the potential for other people to participate or become aware. The beauty of YouTube is that it's massive. And if they like you, if the algorithm likes you, they can make you very big and very wealthy and successful. If they don't like you, they can crush you, okay? I learned that already. And so the thing is, outside of, the YouTube, where can we go? I don't really know. I've looked at pretty much everything. I've done test runs on everything else, and I haven't had any results that compare even closely to, or even remotely to the YouTube platform, when the YouTube platform is working in a healthy way with the channel. So, there was a time, some of you might remember a few years ago, when I was invited to the YouTube headquarters. I was regarded as a kind of unique, special little channel. And I had, meetings with several, YouTube executives, what's going on here, blah, 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 blah. And then everything flipped around. The channel is still alive, but I'm no longer considered a favored or a worthy channel. Okay? So I don't know what's going to happen. I know there's going to be radical shifts, radical upheavals, radical sense of fear when people realize on a global scale how their lives and lifestyles and status quo are being shaken up, literally like with a bulldozer, with a pile driver. And in many ways, there are a lot of people who won't have any say or control in the matter. Global finances are going to be changing radically. Global politics, global food supply chains, global food growth, global food processing. All of that's going to change. I'm also, I don't get into it too much, but I'm interested in these aspects of more astronomical weather patterns like the solar maximums and solar minimums. And that's throwing, things a little bit unstable too. Because even though we're burning massive amounts of fossil fuels, when you have a massive solar minimum, it chills things down anyway. So there's a lot of stuff going on that I see as upheaval in the most simplistic terms, without judging humanity, without basically pointing fingers about how and why these things happen. We have a massive population, and we've reached a point of maximum. We can still continue to populate, but it's become like global awareness now, where humanity, we no longer have an infinite supply of land and resources. This is not a flat earth economy anymore where everything goes to infinity and beyond, and you can just keep bulldozing new layers and layers of resources, forests, gold mines, coal mines, copper pits, iron pits, lithium pits, and forests and trees and farms. We can't do that. The planet Earth has a finite landscape, and we have already basically filled it up, and we're already over polluting ourselves, just like you would put if you took a huge cardboard box and put a bunch of food in the middle and a bunch of rats in the middle. They would populate and populate and populate and eat all the food, and eventually they start eating themselves. And it's just like birth, procreation, death. It's a very plutonic cycle. Plutonic cycles have no mercy. There's no judgment. It's just reality. We're having that in Capricorn right now. We'll have the Pluto and Aquarius conversation, maybe over the next few years. Okay. Okay, well, I think I'll lead you guys on with your day. We've been here for a little while now. I've had my little say. I don't want to go on much longer. So I'm going to say farewell. It's been a pleasure. If anybody wants to get in touch for anything, you can always go over here, have a look. This is a little snapshot of the Tarot Illumination website. I've got it set onto the donate page. But you can also get book readings here. You can join up with Patreon. You can, connect with me directly by email and so on. All those kinds of things. So it's there if anybody needs it. There's so many other things that we could deal with that we really have to deal with. But, we've only got so many hours in the day and so many brain cells left to be able to do anything. So we'll figure it out as we go along. Take care, everybody. I'm going to play us out. Okay?